Welcome to my review of an odd one in the LEGO Star Wars 2008 General Grievous, set 10186 with 1,085 pieces. Its original retail price was $90, adjusted for inflation in today's money, that's about $135, and on the secondary market, you can expect to pay north of $500 if you want this one sealed in the box, which I think that price, obviously, General Grievous is cool, but partially has been brought up by the fact that they've released the Droideka and the Battle Droid on Stab, and I think those sets pairing with this could be pretty cool, so we'll try that out in this video. So for some reason, this set has slipped through the cracks and didn't have a piece count on the box. Like, I literally Googled and checked eBay. I could not find a picture of this set's box with a piece count. This set wasn't exclusive to Europe or anything. I remember getting the magazine with this set on the back of it. It was definitely available in America. It's just an odd one that must have slipped through the cracks with no piece count on the box. I guess it's also notable that this set was only sold at LEGO stores and had a really short lifespan of about 7 months. It's not the only LEGO Star Wars set to have ever been like that though, so to me this one is just shrouded in mystery. It's very odd. Anyway, the box art is real cool. It's got Utapau in the background. I also love what they did with the way the lightsabers spill over the top of the box art, as well as on the bottom, the way his foot is stepping out of the box in a way. Like, that's really cool to me. Also gotta love the way Utapau wraps around onto both sides of the box. Like, just a really cool LEGO Star Wars box. The back of the box, by comparison, feels quite bland, showing General Grievous in a red void. You can see a lot of the features and functions shown off as well. But yeah, I'm stoked to unbox this one because this is a set that I've been waiting for my whole life. Let's open it up. Cutting through the seals and flipping open the box, inside you've got tons of bags. Unfortunately, they aren't numbered, so it does make the build a little bit more tedious. You've got a small sticker sheet for General Grievous included and 2 instruction manuals, which it doesn't feel like it needs to, but they split it up in 2 anyway. With the build for General Grievous done, I would normally take a look at the minifigure for the buildable character at this point, but back in 2008, they were not including minifigures with their buildable characters. Certainly would have been nice to get the classic 2008 General Grievous figure with this, but at that time, it was not the norm to have that included. In fact, UCS sets only started getting minifigs the year prior to this. To this point in 2008, any UCS-style display plaque was very similar to something like this with the UCS ATST, where you get an all-blue representation of the build, you get the name, and then some basic information about it. That is not the case here with General Grievous. You've got that blue representation of General Grievous, but the yellow eyes piercing through are what really make this one to me. It's so unique to see that. Unless I'm missing an example, basically any other buildable character has had a display plaque like this, certainly modern ones where you've got that hologram or blueprint version of the build, you've got some information in the name. It's structured much more similarly to UCS sets than its own thing, but that's what this set was at the time. It was its own thing. It was unique. It was kind of experimentation for LEGO Star Wars to be doing something like this. They had one buildable character prior to this in Yoda, but it had no display stand, no display plaque, so this was very much new territory for them, I think. Obviously, I'm not counting those Technic ones, by the way, but technically those are characters you can build too, but that's a whole different animal. By the way, if you really want to, you can push this down, push it up. I prefer it somewhere in the middle, but you do have some range of motion there. Now, for the actual display stand itself, this thing is crazy unique. You've got 4 feet that actually touch the ground. It, crazily enough, reminds me of the bonsai tree stand modern day. But then on top of that, you got this separate platform that can rotate on top of the completely tiled surface, allowing you to display your General Grievous in any orientation you'd like, which is really cool to have. 360 degrees. It can spin all day. So this here is going to be the closest you'll get to having General Grievous be freestanding because, again, his feet are integrated into his display stand. It's interesting that they even bothered to include the rotatable part. Like, they could have made a much cheaper, smaller display stand. I mean, I would have extended it a little bit from this, but they did not need to go as far as they did with this. I mean, maybe the stability is just that bad and they were worried that this would literally fall over still, so they just went the extra mile and gave it this entire platform, but it doesn't feel like it absolutely had to have. Okay, maybe it was a good idea. Yeah, I mean, that's probably why. That makes sense. But they could have just made this bigger and not done all the fanciness. I don't know. I'm not saying this is bad. It's just kind of odd to me that they went this far, given how cheap they are these days. While I've got it all taken apart, here's the bottom of that display base, and I'll actually show you the bottom of General Grievous as well. Looks just like that, so just interesting to see something you don't normally see. Looking at General Grievous's feet here, they're really well designed. You can see some of the Technic that is holding everything together. I mean, this is integral to holding up the rest of him. You've also got the 4 toes or claws or whatever on each foot, which works perfectly, super accurate. And then I love the use of the hammer piece. I think it's a great part usage for 2008 there. And then also the toes on the outside are posable, so you can have them out or you can turn them in depending depending on which way you would like it to look, but it does give you that feel that he is actually like gripping onto the surface around him, and not that these are just floating, right? And you can actually like lift them up too if you want his toes lifted in the air as he's like about to walk onto something. Like, you can do that too. So I like that posability for General Grievous's feet. It definitely gives you a little something extra that I really wouldn't expect to see in 2008. But yeah, the feet look nice. The ankle, very skinny, simple Technic piece, nothing crazy going on there. Getting into the calf section, they rounded off fairly nicely with these white pieces. Front side looks good, but I think the back side, if we flip it around, is a bit ugly. But I mean, it's General Grievous, and I really only care how good the front looks for this one. So the back is whatever to me. It's done a little bit better for the thigh section where there's some brickwork on the back side, and then you can see the side is tiled off, and then the very front is shaped really nicely here for 2008. Still pretty blocky maybe by today's standards. A little bit of white in between the gray definitely helps break it up a little bit. A little stud action on the side to break up the design, so it's not a super flat blocky design, all things considered. They do a good job adding some shape and contouring to it. Okay, so in the hip area of General Grievous, this is where you're going to find some more posability, but also, like, especially on camera, you can kind of see the rib action going on in the center there. I really like that as the colors kind of stack gray and black there. Looks really nice. Looking at the back side of that same section, they've nicely closed it off so it's not left open. Like, they do a really good job with little things like that on this set, but let me show you this posability. It's fairly straightforward. You've got these two large Technic pieces here, and you can push the whole model forward and down. Down goes his lightsaber. But you can have him leaning a little farther forward here, or we can also push him 1 and 2 a little further back. Now this looks ridiculous and puts a lot of stress on the stand, I'm sure, but it is something you can do with this, and it's nice to at least have the optional posability. Like, you can have him just like that is probably my favorite. It's just the kind of standard one, but I think if you're going to do anything, you could lean him further forward, but I still really wouldn't do either of them. It's just the option is there to have some amount of posability, even if it's not the greatest. The shaping for this entire middle section is really great. They've got that V shape really down, and then you can see some more sticker detail. It's the only other area that there are sticker details on General Grievous. It's these arrow looking things on the white bricks, but this is also where, just like Obi-Wan does in Revenge of the Sith, you can come in and rip open General Grievous's chest to reveal his insides. That's insane that they were able to replicate that feature, but of course necessary. I mean, it's great that it's here. I love that. So you can close that back up really easy. It doesn't feel like it's going to break apart super easily, which is nice. But yeah, you can open and close that with ease to see like his guts or his heart or whatever's in there. Like, oh my God, it's insane. I guess it is his heart, right? And it might be a little bit hard to tell, but the piece they've used to represent his heart is actually a hood piece, which I didn't know until I was opening and building the set, and I saw the hood piece and I was like, oh, that is a very interesting part usage, but really great for 2008, certainly. And you also just gotta love that they covered it all up with that translucent green piece. That was a must-have, and it looks great. Adds a nice splash of color to the center of him. But yeah, having finally built this set for myself for the first time after looking at it for 17 years, I'm really impressed with the rib cage. Like, they did a great job. It definitely looks like this is holding in his heart and everything, and all his guts or whatever they salvaged for him. So pretty dang cool. Pretty dang cool. Here's the back of that torso section. It is certainly nicely detailed, but it doesn't have any functions or features. Turning him in slowly for dramatic effect, here's the face on General Grievous, and it is really good. You've got the mouthpiece down here. You've got some black tubing wrapping out from that. I love the design for the sides where like the ears are, and then really my favorite part is the eyes. Like, the fact that they got the red and the translucent lime green in there is so great. To me, it really gives his eyes a lot of life to have that realistic detail in there. Like, I think that was a very important part about this build, and they nailed it. Now, looking behind and underneath the head, you can see that black tubing that goes back, which is really cool looking, but there's also a ball joint hidden in there, which means your head is posable. Dude, it looks so cool. Oh my God. Wow. Like, every shot of this thing just looks cooler than the last to me. But anyway, so the head is posable, so you just push it down, push it up, move it to the left, move it to the right, like just whatever you want to do. And it's just a sort of thing that allows for a much more dynamic display depending on what you want your General Grievous to be doing, or oops, looking you dead in the eyes, looking up into the sky, looking down at somebody, just whatever you want, you can do because of the ball joint for the neck, which is great. And that finally brings us to General Grievous's arms, which are very important because it's kind of what he's known for in Revenge of the Sith, given he extends out the 4 lightsabers all at once. Like, that was just so cool to me as a kid. It's still so cool to me. And yes, we do have all 4 lightsabers included, of course. We've got 2 of each color, blue and green, and then we also have 2 different hilt designs, but they aren't that pretty. Like, the lightsabers on this set, like, good for 2008, but I remember I, like, really looked at them, like, a year ago, and I was like, dang, those things are ugly. I don't know how else you would have made them at the time, but I just don't think they look that good. Each arm is connected into the torso, and it's actually the top arm on each side that is going to be removable to be replaced with just a shoulder pad piece when you want to have him have 2 arms, because the arms are not actually going to connect. I was kind of hopeful when I saw that open stud that the arms could connect, but no, they do not connect. That is not a possibility. There's some minor detailing on the arms. I think it is very much good enough for the time. You've got some armor plating as well with the white that looks nice, but yeah, the arm design, fairly simple, but definitely gets the job done. Now, the fingers for the hand are posable, and this is actually going to help him grip the lightsaber hilt when you attach it on, and you don't actually attach it on with studs, which is what I would have thought. It's actually this little piece here slides into the side of the finger. It's a super interesting way to do that, but I assume they did it like that so that the hands didn't have to be super bulky to accommodate a stud connection, and it definitely works. It looks good in the hand, looks much better than it does out of the hand, I would say, for that lightsaber hilt, but yeah, still not the craziest, greatest design, but also given the scale, there I don't think is much more you could have done. Attaching all the lightsabers to his hands is a pretty easy process, and you'll notice when I'm done, they're all kind of pointing in different directions here. Fortunately, that is an easily fixable thing because each of the arms is posable. You can basically just rotate them forward or backwards a little bit, and that is going to allow the lightsabers to line up properly or improperly if that's what you're going for. Really, really cool stuff for this set, and I love that you're able to get that, like, pretty much perfect pose for him if you want. Now, the last thing you can do with this Grievous is to remove his top arms to create the look of only having 2 arms instead of 4. It's a really simple process, as you can see, and they include these shoulder replacement pieces as part of the set and show you that in the instructions that you're supposed to do that or can do that if you want. And I will say I was kind of surprised just how good he looks with only 2 lightsabers. I thought I would always prefer the 4 lightsaber look, but 2 also looks really cool and still just as menacing to me. Like, General Grievous really works either way here, and obviously it doesn't fully recreate the functionality of having the arms go together, but I think it does good enough here, and it just looks so cool either way, whether you want to have him with 2 lightsabers or 4 lightsabers, or I guess no lightsabers, I guess more so arms, but like, man, it works either way. Lastly, I want to show this side by side with some of the more modern buildable characters in the Droideka and Battle Droid, and I really don't think they pair well here. He is just in a way different scale, which I think works really well for some of the ships and vehicles for LEGO Star Wars, but really with these buildable characters, when you have them out of scale like this, I don't think you should put them next to each other. Like, obviously I like having them all in my collection, but putting them next to each other probably going to be out of the question just because of that scaling here. I think he definitely stands on his own here as a buildable character. Well, maybe not literally stands on his own, but figuratively. But I really hope to see a modern remake of this, and dare I say a downscaled one to better match the scale of our other Separatist buildable characters. But man, I'm really impressed with this. I'm so upset at myself for not building this sooner. I have had this sealed in my collection for years, but I'm definitely glad that I finally got around to it, and I'm going to have to try to make some room on a shelf somewhere to fit this guy in because he is just that cool. So let me know your thoughts on General Grievous in the comments section below. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, and you can check out more 2008 LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.